Hey guys, tonight we slip into a windswept steppe under a star-dusted sky, where the scent of burning cedar and horsehide lingers, and a Mongol camp pulses with torchlight and whispered secrets. You stand at the edge of a golden yurt, its silken walls trembling in the breeze, where a captive Jin princess, her eyes sharp as jade, weaves defiance in the shadows. Her silken laugh, delicate as a plucked gouging string, masks a heart that refuses to bend. Oh, you'd last mere moments in this den of conquest before tripping over a warrior's saber or a hidden truth. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Whisper in the comments where you're drifting off from and the hour on your clock. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's drift into tonight's shadowy tale together. You step lightly across the frost-kissed grass, the steppe stretching endlessly under a dome of twinkling stars. The Mongol camp sprawls before you, a chaotic symphony of clinking armor, low laughter, and the distant whinny of horses. Torches cast flickering shadows, painting the yurts in hues of amber and russet. The air carries the sharp tang of roasted mutton and the faint sweetness of fermented mare's milk, kumis, as the Mongols call it. A drink these warriors guzzle like it's the elixir of immortality. You smile to yourself. These conquerors clearly think their stomachs are as invincible as their armies. At the camp's heart stands a grand yurt, its silken walls embroidered with dragons and clouds, a trophy of the fallen Jin Dynasty. Inside, you sense her presence, a princess of the Jin, her name lost to the winds of history, yet her spirit as unyielding as the Great Wall. You slip closer, the grass crunching softly under your feet, and peer through a slit in the yurt's heavy felt door. The interior glows with the soft light of oil lamps, their flames dancing on bronze stands shaped like leaping deer. The princess, whom we'll call Lady Shui for the sake of our tale, sits on a low stool, her crimson robes pooling like spilled wine. Her hair, once adorned with gold pins in the Jin court, is now bound simply with a single jade hairpin, its green glow catching the light like a secret waiting to be told. Her hands, delicate yet steady, trace the edge of a lacquered box, its surface inlaid with mother-of-pearl lotuses, a relic of her lost palace. You catch the faint scent of jasmine oil clinging to her, a fragile reminder of a life now buried under the hoofbeats of conquest. The year is 1234, and the Jin Dynasty, once a glittering empire of the Jurchen people, has crumbled under the Mongol tide led by Ogdi Khan, son of the great Genghis. The historical nugget here is stark. After sacking Kaifeng, the Jin capital, the Mongols claimed not just gold and silk, but the very bloodlines of the royal house. Women of the Jin court, princesses, concubines, even queens, were parceled out like spoils of war, given to Mongol generals as wives or concubines under the Kun Fong Tuc, the customs of the steppe. Lady Shui, our imagined princess, is one such captive, bestowed upon a grizzled general named Batu, whose loyalty to Ogdi earned him this prize. But don't let the romance of titles fool you. These were no fairy tale weddings. The Mongols saw such unions as a way to bind conquered peoples, but for the Jin women, they were chains woven of silk and sorrow. You watch as Lady Shui lifts her gaze, her eyes meeting the flickering lamp as if it holds answers. The yurt is warm, almost stifling, with a brazier glowing in the corner, yet a chill seems to follow her every movement. She hums softly, a melody from the Jin court, its notes as delicate as falling petals. You can't help but chuckle quietly. Nobles like her clung to their songs and silks even as the world burned around them. But there's strength in her stillness, a defiance that hums beneath her composed exterior. The Mongols may have taken her crown, but they haven't claimed her spirit. You notice a quirky oddity of the Jin elite, their obsession with perfumed fans, even in captivity. Lady Shui's fan, painted with cranes and clouds, lies beside her, its sandalwood scent a faint rebellion against the yurt's earthy musk. These nobles carried their luxuries like armor, didn't they? Outside, the camp stirs. A warrior, his fur-lined helmet glinting, passes by, his shadow slicing across the yurt's entrance. You hear the low murmur of Mongol voices, speaking of battles won and lands to conquer. Lady Shue's fingers pause on the lacquered box, and you sense a shift, a secret stirring in the air. She glances toward the yurt's entrance, where a heavy curtain sways, revealing a sliver of the starry night beyond. Her lips move, barely audible, as if whispering to the stars themselves. Is she praying? Plotting? The scholarly riddle here lingers like smoke. Did some Jin noblewomen, like Lady Shue, quietly resist their captors, sowing seeds of defiance that history never recorded? Some historians speculate that whispered conspiracies among captive women sparked unrest in Mongol camps, though no chronicles confirm it. The truth, like Lady Shue's thoughts, remains veiled. You step back, the night air cooling your skin, and imagine her life before the fall. In the Jin palace, she would have walked corridors of polished cedar, where courtiers bowed and poets sang of eternal spring. Now, she's a stranger in a strange land. Her silk robes a mockery of her former glory. The Mongols, for all their might, have a peculiar custom you can't help but smirk at. They'd serve kumis in gilded bowls looted from palaces, as if drinking from gold made their mare's milk taste less sour. Lady Shue, you suspect, would find such ostentation absurd, her refined Jin palate recoiling at the thought. Yet, she plays her part, her smile a mask as she navigates this new world of hoofbeats and conquest. The yurt's lamplight flickers, and you catch a glimpse of something, a glint of steel beneath her sleeve. A hairpin? A dagger? The air grows heavy, as if the stars themselves hold their breath. Lady Shue rises, her movements graceful yet deliberate, and approaches the brazier. She tosses a sprig of dried jasmine into the flames, and the scent blooms, sharp and sweet, masking something darker, a resolve, perhaps, to defy her fate. You wonder if she dreams of escape, of slipping past the guards and vanishing into the steppes' endless embrace. Or does she plan something bolder, a spark of rebellion that could ignite the camp? The shadows shift, and a distant murmur hints at a gathering storm, though none in the camp yet sense it. You linger, drawn to her quiet strength, as the night deepens around you. The stars above seem to whisper back, their light a fragile promise of hope, or perhaps a warning. Lady Shue's story, like the Jin Dynasty itself, teeters on the edge of oblivion, yet her defiance burns brighter than the torches outside. You smile wryly. Nobles like her spent their lives weaving intrigues as intricate as their silk tapestries, didn't they? As you step away from the yurt, the wind carries the faint echo of her humming, a melody that refuses to fade. You stand in the heart of the Mongol camp, where the air hums with the clamor of celebration. The steppe stretches wide under a twilight sky, streaked with indigo and saffron, as torches flare like defiant stars. The scent of burning cedar mingles with the sharp tang of kumis, that fermented mare's milk the Mongols seem to think is liquid gold. Honestly, you'd wager they'd trade a palace for a barrel of it. A grand yurt, its felt walls draped with looted Jin silks, glows at the camp's center, alive with the rhythm of drums and the clink of bronze goblets. Inside, a forced wedding unfolds, where a Jin noblewoman, whom we'll call Lady May, stands as the reluctant bride. Her crimson robes shimmer, but her eyes, dark as a storm-tossed lake, hide a despair that could unravel empires. You slip closer, the grass brittle under your feet, and peer through the yurt's open flap. The interior is a tapestry of opulence and conquest. Silk hangings embroidered with cranes, looted from Kaifeng's fallen palaces, sway gently in the breeze. Lady May stands beside a towering Mongol general, Korchi, one of Ogdi Khan's trusted men, his fur-lined cloak heavy with the dust of 100 battles. Her hands, adorned with jade rings, tremble slightly as she clutches a ceremonial cup, its surface etched with lotus flowers. The Mongols, in their infinite wisdom, have paired her with Korchi to cement their dominion, a custom as old as the steppe itself. You can't help but chuckle. Nobles on both sides seem to think a wedding solves everything, as if love could bloom where chains bind. The historical nugget here is as heavy as the bronze goblets raised in toast. In the 1230s, after the Mongols crushed the Jin Dynasty, Ogdi Khan distributed noble women like Lady May to his generals, a practice rooted in steppe traditions to forge alliances and ensure loyalty. These marriages were less about romance and more about power, often leaving the women in a gilded cage of servitude. Lady May, once a scholar's daughter in the Jin court, now stands in a world where her poetry and grace are mere ornaments to Mongol ambition. The yurt smells of incense and roasted lamb, but beneath it lingers the faint bitterness of myrrh, a scent Lady May wears like a shield, its aroma a quiet rebellion against her fate. You watch as she lifts the cup, her movements precise, like a dancer in a long-forgotten court. The Mongols cheer, their voices a rough chorus, but her smile is a mask, thin as rice paper. The quirky elite oddity of the Jin shines through even here. Noble women like May were known to carry tiny, lacquered combs, etched with poems, tucked into their sleeves. Hers, glimpsed briefly, bears a line from a Tang poet, a whisper of defiance in a world that seeks to silence her. You smirk. Imagine hiding poetry in your sleeve while surrounded by warriors who think a good battle is the height of culture. Yet, her composure is a fortress, her despair hidden behind eyes that reflect the torchlight like polished obsidian. The drums quicken, and a shaman steps forward, his robes jangling with bone charms. He chants, invoking the spirits of the steppe to bless this union, but you sense a shadow in Lady May's gaze. Does she curse this marriage in her heart? The scholarly riddle teases at the edges of history. Did some Jin women, forced into Mongol marriages, weave subtle acts of resistance, perhaps through coded messages or silent sabotage? Chronicles like The Secret History of the Mongols hint at unrest in the camps, but the voices of women like May are faint, their stories buried under the weight of conquest. You wonder if her despair hides a spark, a plan to turn this wedding into something more than a Mongol victory. The yurt's light shifts, casting long shadows as dancers swirl, their boots stomping in time with the drums. Lady May's fingers brush the comb in her sleeve, and you catch a fleeting moment. Her lips move, as if whispering a vow to herself. Is it a prayer for freedom? A curse upon Korchi? The air grows thick, as if the spirits themselves pause to listen. You step back, the cool twilight air brushing your skin, and imagine her life in the Jin court. She once walked gardens where willows wept over koi ponds, her laughter mingling with the strum of lutes. Now, her world is this yurt, its walls closing in like a trap. The Mongols, bless their hearts, have a peculiar habit you can't help but find absurd. They adorn their horses with silver bells, looted from Jin temples, believing the jingle brings luck. You picture Lady May rolling her eyes at the sound, her refined sensibilities offended by such garish displays. Yet, she plays her role, her head bowed as Korchi raises his cup, his grin wide as the steppe. The crowd roars, but you notice a servant, a Jin girl no older than 16, slip a folded cloth to May. Their fingers brush, a moment so fleeting it could be missed, but you sense a secret passing between them. Is it a message? A token of resistance? The night hides its truth, as it always does. You linger, drawn to Lady May's quiet strength, her despair a silent storm beneath her silken surface. The stars above glitter like scattered jewels, indifferent to the mortal dramas below. As the wedding feast continues, you feel the weight of her hidden vow, a thread of defiance woven into the chaos of conquest. You smile wryly. These nobles, Jin or Mongol, spent their lives playing games of power, didn't they? But Lady May's game is her own, and the steppe itself seems to hold its breath for her next move. You wander deeper into the Mongol camp, where the steppe hums under a moonless night, the air sharp with the bite of frost and the smoky warmth of distant fires. The scent of damp wool and charred wood curls around you, mingling with the faint sweetness of dried apricots, a staple these Mongols hoard like gold, as if fruit could fend off the winter's chill. The camp is quieter now, the revelry of Lady May's wedding fading into murmurs, but one yurt glows softly, its felt walls stitched with faded Jin silk. Inside, another noblewoman, whom we'll call Lady Lien, sits alone, her silken robes a cascade of indigo and crimson, hiding a sorrow that weighs heavier than the jewels she once wore. Her stillness is a storm held at bay, and you sense her tears, though they never fall. You glide closer, the grass whispering beneath your feet, and peer through a gap in the yurt's heavy curtain. The interior is a shrine to lost grandeur, a lacquered screen, looted from a Jin palace, depicts willows bending over a silver river, its paint chipped but luminous in the lamplight. Lady Lian kneels before a low table, her fingers tracing a bamboo flute, its surface etched with peonies, a relic of her days in Kaifeng's court. The air carries the faint scent of lotus incense, a fragrance that clings to her like a memory of spring. You can't help but smile wryly. Nobles like her carried their elegance into captivity, as if a flute could drown out the hoofbeats of conquest. Her robes, though, are more than adornment. They're a shield, concealing a heart bruised by the Mongols' cruel whims. The historical nugget here cuts deep. After the fall of the Jin Dynasty in 1234, Ogidi Ikon's generals received noble women as rewards, a steppe tradition that turned princesses and ladies into bargaining chips. Lady Lian, once a favored companion of the Jin Emperor's court, was given to a lesser Khan, Subutai, a man whose name echoed terror across the steppe. These unions were meant to bind the conquered to their conquerors, but for women like Lian, they were a slow unraveling. Each day a battle against despair. You notice her hands, once soft from brushing silk scrolls, now roughened by the steppe's harsh winds, yet they move with a grace that defies her captivity. The yurt's warmth feels oppressive, the braziers glow casting shadows that dance like ghosts of her past. Lady Lian lifts the flute, her breath steady as she plays a single, haunting note. The sound is soft, like a breeze through a forgotten garden, and you feel the weight of her sorrow in its echo. The quirky elite oddity of the Jin court shines through even in this bleak moment. Noble women were known to wear sashes embroidered with secret knots, each twist a coded message to trusted allies. Lian's sash, tied tightly around her waist, bears a pattern of interlocking clouds, and you wonder if it hides a message, a plea, perhaps, or a spark of defiance. You chuckle softly. Imagine weaving secrets in a silk while surrounded by warriors who think a good hunt is the pinnacle of sophistication. Her composure, though, is a fortress, her sorrow tucked beneath layers of crimson and indigo. Outside, the camp stirs faintly. A guard's shadow passes, his spear glinting in the torchlight, and you hear the low jangle of horse bells, those silver trinkets the Mongols love, looted from Jin temples. Lady Lian pauses, her flute lowering, and her eyes dart to the yurt's entrance. Is she expecting someone, or fearing them? The scholarly riddle lingers like a half-forgotten dream. Did Jin noblewomen, stripped of power, find ways to resist through subtle acts, perhaps poisoning the trust between Mongol lords? Some historians whisper of unrest in the camps, of whispered plots that frayed alliances, though the chronicles remain silent on names like Lian's. Her sorrow, you sense, is not just for herself but for all the Jin women bound by the steppe's cruel customs. You linger, drawn to the flute's faint melody, now resumed, its notes weaving a tapestry of loss. The yurt's lamplight flickers, casting her silhouette against the silken walls, and you notice something. A tiny vial, no larger than a plum, tucked into her sash. Is it perfume? Poison? The air grows heavy, as if the shadows themselves hold secrets. Lady Lian's fingers brush the vial, her movements deliberate, and you wonder if her sorrow hides a plan. Does she dream of freedom, of slipping into the night and vanishing across the steppe? Or does she harbor a darker intent, a way to turn her grief into a weapon? The Mongols, for all their might, have a habit you find absurd. They adorn their yurts with looted jade carvings, as if stolen beauty could mask their conquests. You picture Lian scoffing at such displays, her Jin sensibilities offended by their excess. The night deepens, and you step back, the cold air biting your skin. You imagine Lady Lian's life before the fall, strolling through Kaifeng's moonlit gardens, where poets recited verses and lanterns glowed like fireflies. Now, her world is this yurt, its walls a prison draped in silk. The flute's melody falters, and she sets it down, her eyes fixed on the lacquered screen. A shadow moves beyond the curtain, and you catch a glimpse of another figure, a Jin servant, perhaps, her face pale as moonlight. Their eyes meet, a silent exchange, and you sense a thread of hope, or perhaps conspiracy, woven into the night. The stars above glitter coldly, indifferent to the dramas below, but Lady Lian's sorrow feels alive, a quiet storm that could yet shake the camp. You smile, amused by the irony. Nobles like Lien spent their lives mastering grace, only to find it tested in the harshest of worlds. Her silken robes, her flute, her hidden vial, they're all pieces of a puzzle, a story the steppe might never fully tell. As you drift away, the flute's final note lingers, a whisper of defiance against the darkness. You drift through the Mongol camp as dawn paints the steppe in hues of saffron and rose, the air crisp with the scent of dew-soaked grass and the faint musk of horsehide. The camp stirs softly, with the clatter of cooking pots and the low hum of morning prayers, but a single yurt stands apart, its felt walls adorned with faded Jin tapestries. The scent of sandalwood lingers, sharp and defiant, as if clinging to a world long lost. Inside, a Jin queen, whom we'll call Empress Dowager Wei, kneels in silence, her hair bound with a jade hairpin that glints like a hidden blade. Her presence is a riddle, and you sense a deadly plot woven into the very strands of her hair. You chuckle quietly. Nobles like her turned scheming into an art form, didn't they? You glide closer, the morning chill brushing your skin, and peer through the yurt's narrow opening. The interior glows with the soft light of a single oil lamp, its flame casting shadows on a lacquered chest, its surface carved with dragons coiling through clouds, a relic of the Jin court's vanished splendor. Empress Wei's robes, a deep indigo embroidered with silver threads, pool around her like a midnight sea. Her hairpin, an exquisite piece shaped like a phoenix, holds more than her hair. It conceals a secret, its jade surface cool to the touch but heavy with intent. The air carries the faint bitterness of myrrh, a scent she wears like armor, masking the sorrow that clings to her like a shadow. You smile wryly. These Jin royals carried their elegance into exile, as if a hairpin could hold back the tide of conquest. The historical nugget here is as sharp as the hairpin itself. When the Mongols toppled the Jin dynasty in 1234, Ogedei Khan distributed royal women, including high-ranking figures like empresses, to his generals as symbols of victory. Empress Wei, in our tale, was given to a Mongol lord, Togus, a man whose loyalty was rewarded with her hand, though her heart remained a fortress unconquered. These unions were meant to secure alliances, but for women like Wei, they were a gilded prison, each day a silent battle against despair. You notice her fingers, once accustomed to signing imperial edicts, now tracing the hairpin's edge, her movements deliberate, as if weighing its hidden purpose. The yurt's warmth feels heavy, the braziers glow casting flickering shapes that seem to whisper of treachery. Empress Wei rises, her movements slow and regal, and adjusts the hairpin, her eyes scanning the yurt's shadows. You catch a glimpse of something, a tiny compartment within the phoenix's carved wings, barely visible. Is it a blade? A vial of poison? The scholarly riddle hums in the air. Did Jin royal women, stripped of power, turn to subtle weapons to defy their captors? Some historians speculate that poisonings and quiet betrayals sowed discord in Mongol camps, though no chronicle names Wei or her kind. Her plot, whatever it is, feels like a spark in a tinderbox, and you sense the camp's fragile peace teetering on the edge. You can't help but smirk. The Mongols, for all their might, had a quirky habit. They'd weave looted Jin pearls into their armor, believing it brought invincibility. Imagine Wei rolling her eyes at such superstition, her imperial dignity offended by their garish pride. The camp outside begins to wake, the clink of harnesses mingling with the low chant of a shaman. A servant, a young Jin girl with eyes like polished onyx, slips into the yurt, carrying a tray of dried apricots and kumis. The Mongols, bless their hearts, serve this sour drink in gilded bowls, as if gold could mask its bite. You'd wager Wei finds it as distasteful as their conquest. The servant kneels, her movements swift, and passes a folded silk cloth to Wei. Their fingers brush, a fleeting exchange, and you sense a secret passing between them. The cloth, embroidered with a single lotus, feels like more than a gift, perhaps a signal, a step in Wei's hidden plan. The air grows thick, as if the dawn itself holds its breath, waiting for her next move. You linger, drawn to Wei's quiet strength, her sorrow masked by the poise of a queen. The yurt's lamplight flickers, casting her silhouette against the tapestries, and you imagine her life before the fall. In Kaifeng's palace, she walked halls of polished jade, where courtiers bowed and poets wove her name into verses. Now, her world is this yurt, its walls a cage draped in stolen silk. The quirky elite oddity of the Jin court shines through even here. Empresses like Wei were known to wear rings etched with tiny maps, guiding them through palace labyrinths. Hers, glimpsed on her finger, bears a faint outline of Kaifeng's gates, a reminder of a home she'll never see again. You chuckle softly. Nobles clung to such trinkets, as if a ring could lead them back to freedom. The dawn brightens, and a shadow moves outside. A Mongol guard, his spear gleaming. Wei's hand pauses on the hairpin, her eyes narrowing. Does she plan to use it tonight, when Togus visits? Or is her plot grander, aimed at the heart of Ogdi's court? The stars fade above, but her resolve burns brighter, a flame hidden in the folds of her robes. You step back, the step's cool air clearing your thoughts, and feel the weight of her secret. The camp hums with life, unaware of the storm brewing in its midst. Empress Wei's sorrow is a silent blade, and you wonder if it will cut through her chains or her captors. You smile, amused by the irony. Nobles like Wei spent their lives wielding power through whispers, only to find their greatest schemes born in captivity. Her hairpin, her silk, her hidden compartment, they're all threads in a tapestry of defiance, a story the steppe might never fully tell. As you drift away, the dawn's first light touches the yurt, and Wei's silhouette seems to glow, a queen unbroken by conquest. You drift across the Mongol camp as twilight cloaks the steppe in a velvet haze, the air thick with the scent of cooling earth and smoldering embers. The stars above flicker like scattered pearls, casting a faint glow over the yurts, their felt walls rippling in the evening breeze. The camp hums with the soft clink of armor and the distant neigh of horses, but a strange stillness lingers near one yurt, its entrance framed by Jin's silk embroidered with fading lotuses. Inside, a noblewoman, whom we'll call Lady Jin, moves like a shadow, her presence a whisper of defiance that haunts the Mongols' triumphs. You smile wryly. Nobles like her seem to linger even in death, don't they? As if their spirits refuse to bow to conquest? You glide closer, the grass whispering under your feet, and peer into the yurt's dim interior. A single candle burns low, its flame dancing on a bronze stand shaped like a crane, casting trembling shadows across a woven rug looted from Kaifeng's fallen halls. Lady Jing, once a poetess in the Jin court, sits with a scroll in her lap, its parchment yellowed but adorned with her own delicate calligraphy. Her robes, a deep russet fading to saffron at the edges, shimmer faintly, as if woven from starlight. The air carries the scent of ink and jasmine, a fragile echo of her lost world. You chuckle softly. These Jin ladies clung to their scrolls and poems, as if words could shield them from the steppe's harsh winds. The historical nugget here is as poignant as the candle's glow. After the Jin dynasty's fall in 1234, Ogdi Khan's conquest left countless noble women, like Lady Jing, bound to Mongol lords through forced marriages, their lives a tapestry of sorrow and silent resistance. Jing, in our tale, was given to a warrior named Bayan, a man whose victories earned him her hand but not her loyalty. Her spirit, unyielding as the ink on her scroll, seems to haunt the camp, a specter of the Jin's lost glory. You notice her fingers, once skilled at brushing verses, now tracing the scroll's edges, her movement slow, as if savoring each word. The yurt's warmth feels heavy, the candles light a fragile defiance against the encroaching dark. Lady Jing lifts her gaze, her eyes catching the candlelight like polished jade. You sense a weight in her silence, a story untold. The quirky elite oddity of the Jin court shines through even now. Noble women often wore hairpins with tiny bells, their faint chimes a signal to trusted maids in bustling palaces. Jing's hairpin, a silver piece shaped like a crescent moon, tinkles softly as she moves, a sound so faint it could be mistaken for the wind. You smirk. Imagine hiding signals and hairpins while surrounded by warriors who think a good raid is the height of elegance. Yet, her presence feels otherworldly, as if the yurt itself holds its breath, wary of her ghostly resolve. Outside, the camp settles into night. A guard's shadow flickers, his spear gleaming under the stars, and you hear the low jangle of horse bells, those silver trinkets the Mongols adore, looted from Jin temples. Lady Jing unrolls her scroll, revealing a poem of loss and defiance, its characters sharp as daggers. The scholarly riddle whispers through the ages. Did Jin women, like Jing, leave behind coded messages in their art, sowing seeds of unrest among their captors? Some historians muse that poems and letters, smuggled through servants, carried plans that frayed Mongol unity, though no chronicle confirms Jing's name. Her scroll, you sense, is more than poetry. It's a testament, a ghost that haunts Bayan's victories. You linger, drawn to Jing's quiet defiance, her silhouette a wisp against the yurt's walls. The candle flickers, and you notice a shadow move, a Jin servant, her face pale as moonlight, slipping into the yurt. She kneels, offering a small lacquered box, its surface etched with peonies. Their eyes meet, a silent pact, and you wonder if the box holds a final act of resistance. The Mongols, bless their hearts, have a habit you find absurd. They carve looted jade into amulets, believing it wards off spirits. You picture Jing scoffing at such superstition, her poet's soul unswayed by their crude charms. The air grows heavy, as if the stars themselves lean closer, sensing a storm in her silence. The night deepens, and you step back, the steps cool air brushing your skin. You imagine Jing's life in the Jin court, composing verses under lantern-lit pavilions, her words celebrated by scholars. Now, her world is this yurt, its walls a cage draped in fading silk. The candle gutters, and Jing's scroll curls shut, her fingers lingering on the hairpin. Is she a ghost, as the camp whispers, or a woman whose defiance burns brighter than their torches? The stars above hold no answers, but her presence lingers, a shadow that unsettles the Mongols' dreams. As the camp fades into silence, you feel the weight of Jing's story settle around you. The yurts grow dim, the fires banked low, and the steppe stretches into a vast, quiet void. You drift, carried by the wind, away from the torches and the clink of armor. Lady Jing's scroll, her hairpin, her whispered verses, they dissolve into the night, a gentle hum that lulls your thoughts. The stars soften, their light a tender embrace, and you sink into a stillness as deep as the steppe itself. The tales of Jin women, their sorrow and defiance, fade into a soothing murmur, like a river finding its way to the sea. Let the night carry you now, its whispers a lullaby, guiding you to dreams where shadows hold no power and spirits find peace at last.